My fursuit head, which is a little bit worse for wear, lives in a box over there. But what if instead it lived on mic? Look at this. So my teenager wanted a headphone stand. Okay, so what? Whoa, my God. Damn. This gives me inspiration. I'm going to mount Mike's head to the wall and store my fursuit head on it. That's the plan. Okay, we got Mike up here, and we can see we have all kinds of different Mike-related things like this friendly articulated slug. Whatever this is, it's lovely. I quite like that. I'm going to save that for later. Kid named Finger. Yeah. Here it is. Let's take a look. People like Cults 3D, and I do not like it for this very reason. No matter what browser I'm in, this happens every time.
It was perfect. But no, you just had to blow it up. You and your pride and your ego.
Wow. Look at his wrinkly little head. I love it. Absolutely incredible. One thing that's going to be a little bit tricky with this is we're going to need to size it to my fursuit head. And while that seems pretty straightforward, it's kind of a pain in the butt, especially when you're combining different 3D models. I'm probably going to be using Onshape for my CAD software. And then I'm also going to be using Blender to modify the mesh and use Boolean modifiers. And for whatever reason, Blender always has a tough time with units. So like this might be a little bit of a process. Now I did have a 3D model of my fursuit head, but I do not know what I did with it. So I'm just gonna, hell yeah, brother. Let's take a look. Yeah, I use this in all kinds of good stuff.
Whoop. I just took a DNA test.
Okay. Ugh. How long are the teeth? That's not important for anything. I just want to know. Loaded the model in, and it looks like it's 0.49 inches. Okay, I think that's about right. Okay, add to cart.
Walter, you need to try on my fursuit head, Walter.
Okay, so I wanted to get a good overall understanding of what we're going to be dealing with here. And this is the basic layout that I've come up with. Very simple. Obviously, I'm going to do some more specialized edits in a bit. But right now, I just wanted to make sure that everything's going to work. And I think mostly it will. But the one thing that kind of concerns me is the collar on this vest here. I do think that could cause some issues just because it's cutting into the head, which is, we don't want it to do that. What I'm thinking we might be able to do is just slice a very narrow portion of Mike's head. Jesus. This sounds so weird out of context. It sounds weird in context too. It should be okay. Maybe? If you bring an X-ray gun to a furry convention, this is what you'll find inside the suits. Oh, brother. So I'd really like to soften these sharp areas on his collar here. I thought I could use armatures to do that. Just like, yeah, that didn't work. I could sculpt it, but right now it's just too high resolution to be able to do that. And I'd like to be able to retain a fair amount of that resolution because I'm not totally sure how large we're going to be printing it yet. I have a general idea, but because there might be some changes, I don't want to mess around with it too much. So I don't know what I'm going to do. So I went in and just used the grab tool to move the collar out of the way a little bit. I think it's probably fine. I mean, who cares about it? I mean, whatever.
Walter, there's supports in my eyes, Walter.
All right, so I've got it split into a couple different pieces here, if I can go ahead and show you. This actually took a lot more effort than I was expecting. All this hard stuff is done, right? The sculpture is pre-made. I bought it, right? How lame is that? Sizing everything up and making sure it's going to work together. And also doing this base plate here and modifying this already existing model was really difficult. I typically work in CAD software called Onshape, and then besides that, I use Blender. And Blender's amazing for a trillion different things, but one thing it's not super good at, measuring units are kind of a weird thing. So I had to do a bunch of stuff of importing it into my slicer, and then exporting it, and then doing some kind of weird headed in Blender and then re-importing it and making sure the size is correct. So huge pain, but now I have an old man's head on a platter. So very exciting. Now we just need to wait for the filament. And I do worry, I ordered 2 kilograms of PLA for this. I think it's probably going to end up being more. This is why I should not be on social media. He's being created. Looks pretty good. I will say, it's pretty big. And, you know, I guess I have a big head, so it kind of makes sense, but I'm a little worried it's going to be too large. Especially because, like, those ears, you know, unlike me, who has flexible cartilage ears, this guy has plastic ears, and that could pose an issue for us. But, I mean, if this is the size of his head, that really puts into perspective how big the entire thing is going to be. It's going to be huge. Okay, I'm excited because it's done. Let's go take a look. Let's get a close-up of that.
He looks like he's wearing a headband.
We need to do cardio, Walter.
It's beautiful. One thing I am worried about, though, is look at this. I think this might be larger than real life in terms of scale, and the head might not fit on it. Obviously, I'm including a link to the model if you want to purchase it, but oh my God, it is so detailed. It is absolutely amazing. All right, let's see if the fursuit head will fit in it. Definitely big. I think it fits. Okay, if we look through the maw here, we can see his little nose. You know, it's a little bit big, but I think it's probably appropriate. I think this is probably fine. You know, oftentimes when I 3D print something, I think to myself, how is this a kilogram of plastic or something? You know, like it doesn't really make sense that it took so much material, but this, you feel this. Cram it in. I know it can fit. Ugh. I think this might work, but I think I'm going to have to change the mounting system so that the wooden plaque screws into the wall. I feel like if we can have it so that it is really cemented onto the wall and it's not going anywhere, it's not just hanging there, it should be possible to take the head on and off. Oh, real quickly, something I wanted to say is that I have the strangest sense of deja vu working on this project. I'm sure somebody has done like a funny fursuit wall mounting thing before, but I can't for the life of me find anything involving Mike specifically. If somebody's come up with this idea already, please let me know because I would feel terrible. But the logical part of me says there's no way that any other person would be crazy enough to do this. So here's what I have. This is going to be the back portion. And basically, you got this center square, which will be attached to the wall. And then this can be slid up and then pulled out this way. I think it'll be attached more securely with this method compared to just kind of hanging on some screws like a picture frame. I also spent a stupid amount of time making these screw holes more overhang friendly. Okay, so we are making some serious progress. This is the plaque in multiple pieces, of course. And this part here, which doesn't want to come out, is the part that we will attach to the wall. Most slicers these days, you can add little dowels when you cut stuff in half, and this gives it a little bit more strength, right? Because if you're just gluing together two pieces, it can be hard to align and stuff. This other side over here, for whatever reason, is lacking dowel holes. So what I did is I put some paint on these and pushed them together. And I'm going to drill a hole in this so that those can fit snugly. And I think that'll help with just making sure everything's adhered together a little bit. It's a little bit hard to see, especially with the dowels making this gap larger, but there is a small gap from warping. So I was trying to figure out what way can I fill it in, because I wanted to not paint this. I wanted to use the finish of the filament. And that's when I remembered friction welding with these little 3D printed nibs. Still not fully there yet, but we're close. There we go. Great. Oh, it is done. Let's take a look. Oh my gosh. One thing, oh my gosh, this is something that really annoys me about 3D printing in general. Occasionally, if you have something that isn't fitting on the bed perfectly, you get like kind of this half partial layer up here. Normally it's not a huge problem. It's just kind of annoying. But here it could be an issue because, you know, we're going to stick his head on here. That needs to be flush on here. So that'll go on there like that. And this will go on there. Don't worry, Mike. This won't hurt a bit. Well, it may hurt a little. The little pegs I screwed up the tolerance on. So I'm just drilling some holes. So I'm going to use the pegs as kind of positioning holes, and then just glue is going to be doing most of the work. To be a decapitated bust squeezed between my thighs. It is finished. There's some things that still need to be kind of worked out, I'll be honest. But forget about those things. I want to show you what it looks like. Now, one of the issues here is I'm planning on moving soon. I don't want to just start drilling holes in the wall. So I drilled a hole in a cabinet. Beautiful. What a major success this is.
Walter, put your
Fursuit.
away, Walter.
So now we got to see what it looks like with the head on it. Absolutely incredible. So I think this is a major success. I'm very proud of it. But yeah, if you got recommended this video, you may have seen some of my videos from a couple years ago. Basically, I changed my main channel into talking about like a lot of weird cameras and stuff. If you're interested in furry stuff solely, subscribe to this channel because there's going to be more stuff that I'll come out with eventually, you know, as it comes up. Goodbye.
I'm not
Fursuit.
with you right now, Walter.